Coming up tonight on the News at 5, MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison takes a closer look at where gubernatorial candidates Mike Cooney and Greg Gianforte stand and how they differ on the economy. Plus, the Great Falls Rescue Mission is working with the local health department to investigate a possible case of COVID-19.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Andy Curtis, and thanks for joining us. Well, perhaps more than any other race on Montana's 2020 ballot, the contest for governor will shape the future of our state. Democrat Mike Cooney and Republican Greg Gianforte are the leading candidates to succeed outgoing Democratic Governor Steve Bullock. Starting today in a three-part series, MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison takes a closer look at where Cooney and Gianforte stand and how they differ on three major issues: the economy, education, and health care. Our first segment focuses on the economy, the state budget, and tax policy.
Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte says the number one reason he's running for governor is to create more and better paying jobs in Montana. How will he do it?
But it focuses on a top-to-bottom regulatory review to keep regulations that protect public safety and the environment, but remove the excessive ones, lowering the tax burden across the board.
He also wants more emphasis on trades education like carpenters, plumbers, machinists, streamlining of the permit process for mines and other natural resource projects, and a freeze in state spending.
We've had massive growth in state spending over the last 10 years. Our strategy is very simple. I am very hopeful we will not have to make cuts. My goal is to hold spending flat.
Gianforte also points to his business experience, building a software development firm in Bozeman from the ground up into an international company with more than 1,000 employees.
There is a huge contrast here between me and my opponent. I've spent my entire career creating good-paying jobs, mostly here in Montana. My opponent got a 0% rating from the Montana Chamber of Commerce.
That rating for Cooney came in one legislative session when he was state senate president 13 years ago. He's now lieutenant governor under Bullock and says if people want to know what he'll do, they should look to how the state budget is surviving the COVID-19 pandemic.
We are in a very strong position as a state. And we didn't get here by accident. In the last legislature, we worked with both Republicans and Democrats to build a budget that makes sense. Our reserves are full to capacity.
Cooney says he would continue to partner with business on education for hard-to-fill jobs, but that his first priority would be to make sure Montanans are healthy in the wake of the pandemic.
Because we cannot kickstart the economy again without healthy people. Once we do that, then we're going to continue to open up the economy, getting people back on the job.
That also includes ensuring people have access to affordable health care, he says, and preserving access to public lands, which drives Montana's outdoor economy. On natural resources, Cooney says he's always been supportive of traditional industries like mining and agriculture, but that Montana can't ignore the regional demand for cleaner power.
So we can continue to manage our resources properly and continue to benefit off them, but we also need to be prepared to move into the new economy where we're seeing it shift.
Finally, on tax policy, Gianforte wants to look at reducing taxes on property for homes and businesses and says Montana's state income tax is too high. If it's low enough, he says, it will attract more people to move here.
We're competing with states that have a zero income tax rate. I think what we can do is incrementally bring that down. And I think one of the ways we could do it is by inviting Montanans to come back home, bring their jobs with them.
Cooney says Montanans don't need any new taxes as they recover from the pandemic. But in the future, he'd like to consider raising the income tax rate on Montana's highest earners, those making more than $500,000 a year and with substantial capital gains.
If you're making minimum wage in Montana right now, you're paying the same tax rate as someone making $500,000. How is that fair? To just say we're going to cut property taxes, we're going to cut this tax or cut that tax, every one of those cuts will have an impact on services to the people of Montana.
So there you have it. Two very different approaches on how we should go forward in Montana. Tomorrow we look at something closely intertwined with the economy, education. Some significant differences there as well. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
For more detail on this subject, you can look at Mike Dennison's coverage on the governor's race on our website, ktvh.com. And this weekend, our series of MTN debates continues with the race for Montana governor. Democrat Mike Cooney and Republican Greg Gianforte take center stage with our panel of reporters, including Jay Cohn, Jill Valley, and Mike Dennison. Watch Saturday night at 6 o'clock right here on KTVH or with the KTVH streaming app for Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, or Android TV. And if you missed last weekend's U.S. House debate, you can watch it every night this week at 9 o'clock p.m. on our streaming app. And it is currently a nice, but last time I checked, it was still a little windy out there. To tell us how long that's going to last, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
Well, the nice dry weather will continue. The wind, that'll die down here a little bit later on this evening. But live look at Big Sky, and just a little snow there into the bowl from what we saw over the weekend, but no precipitation anytime soon. How about the blue sky out there? That may change, though, as wildfire smoke from California is likely to be headed back towards the state here. Also, some good activity into Idaho here, and as the flow kind of switches more to the southwest over the next few days, likely going to see an increase in the smoke and the haze for at least part of the state. Might not be as bad as a couple of weeks ago, but you'll notice, and it won't be quite as blue and beautiful as it is outside right now. Picture perfect weather, though, for at least one more day. Another smoke show headed our way, and rain, pretty rare. I'll have more on our chance for a couple of showers coming up.
And a look at the updated coronavirus numbers and another grim milestone for the state. 3 more COVID-19 related deaths were reported today. Montana also added 321 new cases of coronavirus. 2 of the 3 deaths were reported in Yellowstone County and 1 was reported in Flathead County. Those deaths bring the state's death total to 177. 2 of the deaths took place in senior living facilities. There are currently over 160 hospitalizations and over 9,000 people have fully recovered. And just in this evening, the Fort Peck, Assiniboine, and Sioux tribes, both in Roosevelt County, declared a state of emergency on the reservation due to COVID-19. According to a tribal health officer order, non-essential businesses and operations must stop. Gatherings of more than 10 people are prohibited, and people are ordered to stay home. Now, this is a developing story, and we will keep you up to date with the latest information right here and on our website, ktvh.com, as we learn more. Lewis and Clark County Sheriff Leo Dutton is confirming additional COVID-19 cases among inmates in the county detention center. That brings the total to 4 inmates who have tested positive in 2 residential pods. Now, all the inmates in these pods are being quarantined through the end of next week. Dutton says they are working with judges, attorneys, and public health to determine how to handle the inmates' court appearances. In addition, 7 detention center employees have also tested positive out of about 50 who were checked. Dutton says they have had to take a staff member off of each shift at the jail, but that they have been able to adjust.
We're absorbing it, not easily, but we're absorbing it, we're making it work. And hats off to the detention staff for stepping up and doing this.
The Sheriff's Office has also secured outside locations that could be used to isolate inmates who tested positive, but Dutton says they haven't had to use them just yet. And the Great Falls Rescue Mission is working with the local health department to investigate a possible case of COVID-19. According to the rescue mission, at least 1 person from one of the mission's shelters is in quarantine. Rescue mission officials were not able to tell us today which shelter or if they're quarantined because they came in contact with someone with the virus, or if they were showing symptoms, or if they may have something else like the flu. Now, so far there have been no positive COVID-19 cases associated with the rescue mission since the pandemic began. If the person in question does test positive for the virus, rescue mission officials say they've got a plan.
We are open. We are not in lockdown right now. We already have heightened cleaning procedures. If the test results come back positive, then we would follow the recommendations of the City County Health Department.
Now, we did reach out to the health department, but because of HIPAA, the department was not able to give us any additional information. And when we come back, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz will have a complete check of your forecast And later, the first presidential debate of the 2020 campaign is set for tonight. We'll get you ready for the showdown when we come back and all the topics that will surely be covered.
Hi, my name is Jessica, and I'm an anchor for KTVH News. These are my boys, Harvey and Fletcher. We have been reading together since the boys were just babies. That's why this year we donated to the Scripps Howard Foundation Give a Child a Book campaign. If you would like to help and donate as well, you can head to our website to find out how your donation helps children right here in Helena.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenens.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Beautiful blue sky here across a lot of the state. Our live look from Geyser out towards the Highwoods, and yeah, does it get any better than that? However, it's windy, and you can just see the dryness here, and that fire danger, fire could take off pretty quickly when we've got temperature of 82 and a dew point of only 23 and some wind gusts up over 25 miles per hour. The good news is the wind should begin to subside a little bit here tonight in Helena. What a great sky, and how about that? Highs in the lower 80s here, pushing the record highs, about 8 to 10 degrees off of the records for most areas. Some cooler air just off towards the north. There's a little front that will be pushing through as we go through the overnight hours into tomorrow. So the numbers will come back closer to average here as we get into Wednesday. But there's the wind, a lot of twos out here. We've got west winds switching around to the north and then dying down after about the sun goes down. Now, technically, Montana still has some wildfires that are active, although fires like the Drumming Fire, the Bridger Foothills Fire, the State Creek Fire, that one's up by Whitetail Reservoir, really no growth, no activity here over the last several weeks. But they're still smoldering and they're still being worked on, so I'm still going to follow them. But interestingly enough, there are some activity right near western Idaho, east of the Lewiston area, and those fires are putting out some pretty good smoke, but no precipitation anywhere close to the west. Okay, we have maybe a couple of showers just north and east of the Culbertson area there. Wind advisories for parts of the Dakotas, red flag warnings. Still red flag warning down there around San Diego, heat advisories and air quality issues once again for California. So the fires that are active, more so as far as western Idaho here emitting smoke, but as this high pressure that's giving us the real nice weather out there right now, as that kind of shifts a little further towards the east, we'll see some of this smoke coming up around the high and working its way into the state as we go through Wednesday evening into Thursday. Thursday is probably when you'll notice some of that smoke and haze. Here's a look at precipitation. Any? Not much. Here we've got a little dry front going through tonight into tomorrow morning. That will take those temperatures back down, but mostly sunny for Wednesday. A little hazy, a little smoky on Thursday with some higher clouds coming through later in the day, but yet another little minor Canadian front will knock that smoke down to the south here. May get a few showers way out in eastern Montana here on Friday right in the middle of the day, but really no significant precipitation, not only just for Montana, but for a lot of the west here through Saturday, through Sunday. Here we are into Monday. Cumulative dry weather, and that means more in the way of fire danger here. So tonight's a little breezy. Temperatures down into the 30s and the 40s for overnight lows for most of the state. So a little cooler than last night. And here's the forecast for Wednesday. Highs today are in the 70s and the 80s. Tomorrow, this is a pretty significant drop by about 20 degrees or so. Some places up near the Canadian border, highs only in the upper 50s. Pretty windy out in far eastern Montana, really from around Fort Peck east is where that wind will be the strongest. Lewiston back down into the upper 50s, but really a nice fall day for tomorrow. We should be close to 70 near Helena. Here's the 7-day forecast, so about 69 or so for the capital tomorrow. 76 back into the 70s on Thursday with some smoke coming through. Partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies through the weekend. How about next week, the first Monday and Tuesday in October? And we're back in the lower 80s. And for Great Falls, looking at a cooler day tomorrow, but still really nice out there. Maybe just not shorts and t-shirt weather for tomorrow. 70s through the end of the week into the weekend, and right up near 80 once again on Tuesday.
Well, it's a big night for Campaign 2020 as the candidates face off for the first of 3 presidential debates. And yes, everything will be on the table, from the pandemic to the Supreme Court and even the president's taxes. Alice Barr reports from Cleveland with the latest on what's at stake.
Tonight, the long-anticipated chance for voters to watch President Trump and Joe Biden go head-to-head in the first presidential debate. The candidates squaring off over key issues in a time of crisis. More than 206,000 American lives lost to a pandemic that's also rocked the economy. Biden will attack the president's coronavirus response.
Why I think he's failed and why I think the answers I have to proceed will help the American people.
President Trump prepared to attack on all fronts. Aides telling NBC News he wants to get under Biden's skin.
There's just something wrong with Joe. He's off.
Biden will also try to set the contrast between his ties to Scranton and the president's to Park Avenue. Biden today releasing his 2019 tax returns, putting pressure on President Trump, who's refused to release his own while he's under audit. Biden sure to seize tonight on New York Times reporting that the president paid little to no federal income tax for most of the last 2 decades, largely because his business empire lost more money than it made. NBC News has not independently reviewed the documents. The president saying he's entitled, like everyone else, to take advantage of tax loopholes.
It's ridiculous. My father's paid tens of millions of taxes.
With early voting already underway, the candidates making a primetime appeal to a shrinking number of undecided voters. In Cleveland, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And you can catch that debate right here tonight at 7 o'clock. And coming up next on the news at 5, how a group from the Montana Learning Center is helping dig up a very large dinosaur.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back, everyone. A monster fossil discovery by a Helena father and son has created an unforgettable learning opportunity for some of the Montana Learning Center's campers. MTN's John Riley reports.
Keith and Rodney Caldwell were excited to attend the Carter County Museum Dino Shindig this July in Ekalaka. But little did they know, they'd discover an ancient leviathan.
One evening, we decided to go out and look for some invertebrate fossils like clams and oysters and stuff like that. And then while we were walking, my dad, he stumbled upon a few vertebrae just sticking out of the ground.
First, we didn't know what we had. We just started, it's a little bit sticking out of the ground. And all this time out there with Heath looking at dinosaur bones for the last several years, it's kind of like, okay, this is a marine reptile.
The Caldwells immediately contacted the Carter County Museum, who got a permit to dig up the fossil. They still aren't 100% sure, but believe the fossil is that of a Mosasaurus, a 30 to 60 foot marine reptile that lived more than 66 million years ago. For the discovery, Heath got to name it.
And I thought, if it's a terrifying animal, it was the apex predator of the ocean at that time. So I thought naming it after my mom, Vicky, I thought that's a very fitting name for such a scary animal.
By happenstance, Heath was a junior counselor for the Montana Learning Center who had a camp scheduled in the area in the following weeks. Instead of just looking for fossils, the teen campers spent 3 days helping researchers excavate the fossil find and learning firsthand what paleontologists do. Executive Director Ryan Hanaho says it was an amazing opportunity.
This is a huge opportunity because the kids can contribute to real, meaningful, publishable science.
In addition to their work on Vicky, the campers also created an exhibit at the Carter County Museum with their other finds. Finding a fossil, even a small one like this guy, is pretty exciting. Finding one that's larger than a school bus while also contributing to the field of paleontology, that's unforgettable. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
We'll be right back.
Montana's news leader. You're watching MTN News at 5.
We'll see you back here at 6. Have a great night.